Start again. There we
Great.
go.
There we go.
Welcome,
Yeah,
everybody.
sorry, but the owl isn't making, like, you can't hear it. Usually you can
Okay.
hear on the owl.
Hmm. Can you hear us at all?
Yep.
I can hear you, but the owl thing isn't working.
Okay,
Well,
can we
Okay.
go
show
on
us.
with I don't care what the owl shows me visually. Can we
Right.
go on with, because I have a hard stop at 5:30.
Yeah, let's go on.
Um,
Okay, try again.
We're
I
good.
guess, um, I guess you should know I did let,
It's not working, whatever, we're gonna go back to the ocean sound.
It doesn't
Sorry.
matter.
I let Eliana know about this meeting. She said, thank you. I didn't know it was happening. So we may have the press there. Um, do you think, I know people from Whately's Finance Committee and Select Board are coming. And I wouldn't say they're mad as hell, but maybe mad as heck.
Coming
Hmm.
to
The Saturday
the Saturday.
event.
Okay, okay.
I wonder, Dan, if people from Sunderland will be coming.
Yeah, I got to get word out. Yeah, I mean,
They were certainly invited.
yep,
They
I
may
know.
have,
It came up. I heard about the finance board mentioned invitations, and
Well, my 2 cents on this is I'm not going. Of course, I know the building already, but it is not an entity that we have voted as a Board of Oversight to go to. Um, and it really, in my view, at the moment, it's kind of muddying the water because it doesn't really discuss the true needs. I think if the needs are, if we just, if the powers that be and the world decides that in our three communities that we are not going to raise the funds and go to 112 Amherst Road, then we can take a look at other options. One of those options
right.
might be 8 Conway Street in Deerfield. Before we decide to do that, we would want to lay out a map and talk with our staff about how could we use that space? How much square footage is there?
Right.
Again, a hockey rink has plenty of square footage, but will not serve as a senior center. So I want to know, like, okay, if we
Yeah.
were going to be in there, what square footage would we
I think
need and what would we
I
put
I
where?
understand what you're saying.
And
That
then get a budget for it.
I
Because right
agree.
now, the budget is not accurate.
I completely agree. But it's out there.
Hmm.
It is out there and people believe it. And
Yeah.
people will use this. Oh, I heard from blah de blah that there's this other option that's going to be 10 times cheaper and it's
Yeah.
going to be walking distance from my house.
Yeah.
Well,
So we have to we have to address it because if we don't address it, this is going down in Deerfield.
oh, so let me
You know,
just share a couple things. So I've been seeing some posts on Facebook, and one of the things that I posted for tonight was the links to our website, and I updated to include everything from EDM, including the October presentation, including the two spaces with their eval on 8 Conway, as well as um, the floor plan for 112 so people could see the new version, that we've been sharing at the community forums. And if you need me to be there with handouts to go over the EDM stuff of what we need and the other stuff, I'll do it.
I think we need to be there in force, especially Sunderland and Whately, because I think the 2 points we really want to make that came into Trevor's thinking there was that this is a three-town effort
Yes.
and that then pulling this last minute bullshit is not is not in the best interest of your town because it's
Correct.
not in the best interest of collaborating with your neighbors.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Okay, so that's one point.
Absolutely.
A
Absolutely.
second
That's
point
the
is,
biggest point for me. That's
Me
what I
too.
me
and
looking at it. I just go, what is going on?
Right.
and the second point to make is that their numbers are completely fabricated.
Right.
They're not based on
Oh,
any sort of experts.
what
So,
what
but
they are.
we have to make the case in public. And the best way to do that
Yeah.
is to have the intervention, have the press there, have this exposed for the fraud that it is in public.
I think, if
I
I
read
could
it in the
just,
recorder
could I,
that this thing was, that, see, by not showing up, if they're the only ones there talking, they can convince anybody who's there that they're right.
right.
And
And
it's
I
just
think
going to be propagation of this false story.
what bothers me a bit about this is that the number isn't fabricated, right? The number is, hey, this is the building and it only costs this much if you put 350,000 into it. And that's all you can get, right? That's all we're going to give you is you are only allowed $350,000 and you'll get a paint job, maybe you'll get some windows, and that's going to be what you're going to get. And that's not what the needs assessment says.
So we need to be there to make that point.
Okay.
And Pete did a nice letter, as you probably, I don't think,
I saw it today.
yeah, did you forward it to
No, Pete
Trevor
forwarded it
and
to
Dan?
me. Do you want me to forward it? I'm happy to.
I think
Yeah,
Trevor
I'd
and
love to
Dan,
see anything you have. I'd love to see.
he
I
put
would
it
too.
very nicely. Um, it was a letter to the other town administrators. And he
Yep.
copied me, and I think he copied Jen. And he just put forward that, look, this is a three-town effort that you're
Right.
undermining. And, well, I mean, he didn't say it that bluntly. And he said,
And
you've
it,
gotten these numbers, but the numbers the South County Senior Center are based on needs. And we did this and we did this. You're just saying, well, this is what we think we can afford, and here's the crappy building that we don't want anymore.
mhm.
So we have to kind of expose that. So that's one part. And I guess the third part is
And it's also not coming from authority. No
right.
select board member and no has brought it up in a select board meeting to say we are going to move forward with this. And the Board of Oversight has not voted it. A non-elected board has decided in a recommendation board with no
Yep.
authority to make a decision on how things get done. They can either approve or disapprove of a budget, but they do not decide for three towns what we're going to do. They can either say, I disagree with the money that's going to be spent, and I think it's a waste of money and it's not the right move financially for the town of Deerfield to move to 112 Amherst Road. But it is not in their authority to come up with a second option.
Well, I will say the original email came from Tim Hilchey. It didn't come from the finance committee. So I think Tim's behind it.
Well, then he needs to bring it up and be voted on in a town in a meeting.
Okay, but it's not your town meeting is going to be about 8 Conway Road versus 112 Amherst Road.
What else is on
And
the
they have
override
made,
agenda?
I mean, that's what it's going to be, right?
Isn't that the only thing on the override?
No, there's
No,
one other thing.
112,
One
112
other
is the
thing.
only thing.
I mean, that's like,
But no,
wow.
they've just given everybody a reason to not vote for the override, because if we wait another year or two, you can have this crappy building that we don't like and we're
Right.
moving out of, and we may or may not fix it.
Well,
Yeah.
can I ask for permission to post a long post on social media to correct and to share because the information is not accurate? I posted something this evening saying, are you curious to know how the Board of Oversight came to recommend 112 Amherst Road? Look at here. But I think that we need to have, we need to have accurate factual information and share it because that's where all the argument is happening. But I don't want to play into negative rhetoric by any means, but I want
Yeah,
to correct misinformation.
Hmm.
exactly. So we've got to come up with some points that we want to make and focus on kind of positive messages if possible, which means I'm going to have to try really hard, and correcting um, uh, bad facts or bad info.
Because
Yeah,
someone posted today that we never even did a walkthrough or evaluation of 8 Conway Street, which is absolutely false, but that's what
right.
Finance Committee and other people are putting out there.
Well, I've only walked through the building I mean, I was never invited to go look into all the closets and stuff.
It
So
wasn't even because it wasn't evaluated because
the
it
uh,
didn't
the
have the
EDM studio
space.
people did.
But we did
They
Correct.
did the
evaluate
walkthrough.
it with
We
EDM
evaluated it for a new senior center, for a
and
remodel,
as
for
a
a new senior.
renovated space.
Correct.
Yeah.
We
So we,
never evaluated it for
We put a
anything else.
renovated number to it?
There,
the renovated number, yep, I can
there
get you
was
that.
What
It was
was
like,
our number versus their number?
it
So
was
it
8
was
million.
$8 million. Or
Well, that's
7.9 or $7.8 million for renovations. Now,
so
I
that it
would
matched the
say,
same thing we would do in Whately or what other. So it was to be fair, apples and apples.
right.
And
yeah,
So when Jen and I were trying to make an apples to apples for 112 Amherst Road,
mhm,
we cut a few million off
right,
um, because there were some things that we just thought those are never going to happen.
it
And
right,
was 7.9 million,
no,
7,944 million. And
no,
it was 6.920 and then the soft costs. But the big thing that is on here too is that this goes over everything. And this is now on our website. So that people can see that an evaluation was done it's from October of 2025. It's not
no.
just a winged out thing. It's up to date, but there's also
And it was
some,
also done by experts,
Right.
yes,
right.
not an unelected committee.
yep.
So we made sure, so I'm gonna say this, so the select board member over there was kind of behind it. What's the unelected committee? We're talking the advisory?
The
Or
Fine.
finance
Finance
committee.
committee.
finance, yeah, okay, all right.
But if you also go to the Deerfield building advisory, it has the report from 2020's evaluation of the space, and they recommended going to a new building. So if it's recommended to go to a new building and not be used by town hall, why is it okay to be used for the
Yeah,
senior center without
Well,
those
it
renovations?
can be used, but it needs to be remodeled to
Right,
because
fit
that's
a
what
they
I'm
had
senior
saying
center.
about the renovations.
Yeah,
somewhere in their work, was there a estimate of what it would be, what it would cost to renovate it to use it as town offices?
Yeah,
Are
I
we
think
looking at
at the building
The
committee thing.
the
building
building
committee.
committee one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if they said it would take, yeah, what'd they say it would take?
Um, but this was 2020, so this
No, that's
Okay,
fine, but that was the decision,
that's
we have more
upon
fine.
which
money now.
they
yeah,
made the
hold
decision
on.
to do it.
I need a different mouse.
Yeah,
Sorry, I just can't get
so frustrating.
into Zoom on my end
Mhm.
here. So let me just do this here. I don't know if they actually came up with, but their recommendations, and I'm gonna share this in the chat, I think. I think this is easier for me to do. So let me just go to here.
Yeah, I'll clip it out.
Sorry. I'm
I
doing
think the
like today.
misunderstanding
Can you see
of
my screen or no?
Yeah, go ahead,
the
go ahead, Trevor.
I think the misunderstanding of I don't think they're doing this from a malicious standpoint. I truly think that they think this is a better deal, right? A better outcome long term. It's the only thing the three towns will be able to afford. But I think what they're missing is the needs assessment and feasibility studies in that sure you can put paint on a building. Sure, we can move in there as a senior center tomorrow if it was empty with some fresh paint. It doesn't meet the needs of the senior center. Is it more space than we have now? Yes. Is it, there are some benefits to where the building that we're in right now, sure, but it still doesn't take into account the renovation that would be required to make it usable for a senior center that deserves and addresses the needs that have been pointed out in thousands of dollars of study from experts. It needs more work than 350,000 in a paint job.
Well, they're saying, according to 2020 information, they're saying it's around $248,000, but they're
For-
not, but that's for minimal changes to the space in this building
To
report.
do what though? What was,
Yeah,
Hold
but
on.
can you send me that PDF, please?
Yeah,
Yep.
send that to everybody.
Send that to everybody, and we should study that.
Okay. I'm gonna
And
send you the link to the PDF. No, we don't have public forum at this time. When we do, I'll let you know. Thank you, though.
it'll be at the end of the meeting.
Um, the the biggest piece here, this is the link to the document. It's
Okay.
not, it's just not accurately done information, and that's the problem. So let me just go back to here. I stopped sharing, didn't I? No.
no,
No.
you share it.
Okay, sorry.
No,
So I just sent that to you, but that information is 6 years old. And nothing
And
has
we
been,
know what inflation has been since then. We can calculate that. So,
so
and
it
they're
is
saying
not-
the minimal thing they could do is 100K right now. So
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. It's
But the problem is that we look at where we are now. In any of the spaces that have been recommended, they are one large space where we are left with the issue like we have here. You can only hold one program. That's it. And then if you want to hold larger programs or anything else, they are, in a larger or you have to figure it out. You can't do that. And let's not just forget about parking. People talk about, oh, you can park in the back. The police department has been advocating for more parking for their staff and cruisers. I cannot imagine we are going to be able to fit parking in that area. But while we're talking about this, I just want to update some things that I think are important. I know we've
okay.
got a short
Thank you.
period of time, if that's okay.
My other meeting might be a little bit late, so I probably can
Okay.
stay an extra 10 minutes.
Great. So just to share, so the lease committee, including myself, we met with Mr. Warner, the owner of the space for Delta Sand and Gravel. We talked about the base rent only being $10,000 a month, until the new space would be complete, and that $10,000 a month would cover the use of the space at 22 Amherst Road simultaneously while construction would be going on. So until we could move in the other space, we wouldn't be paying the additional monies. We would just be paying a whole total of $10,000, so covering both spaces. And also I found out, speaking with Mr. Warner today, they met with both the building inspector and fire chief for Sunderland. The elevator is fine with the code. There is no need to change that elevator. So that is, confirms where we
Confirmed.
were. They also do not need to add a sprinkler system to the space. That was already confirmed. They are working on a finalized report, with the architect as well as the fire chief and building inspector. But I wanted to be sure to share that information because I think it's pertinent to where we are in this discussion.
Okay, thank you.
So
Did they say anything about occupancy?
occupancy is actually going to be higher than what we were thinking. So that's good. So it's going to be more than 99 or 100 people at a time.
Do they know?
Just doesn't have the final number. They're
Okay.
waiting for that to come in through the report.
That's good news.
Yeah, really
So
good.
those are positives. And I think the community needs to know that we could actually buy this building now, but because the towns can't agree on anything, at this point in time, we don't have the ability. We can purchase with the first right of refusal starting after year 5 of our lease, because with all the work that's being put into this, the owner would like to make sure that they're getting what they put into it somewhat for oversight and overhead to do all of this. And I think that's really important to discuss that. Mr. Warner shared that while we have budgeted $500,000 for the renovations, it's likely the first phase of the renovations will be less than this. So that's good to know. Also, they will not offer this space to sell to anyone else at all. while we are in there until we decide if we're going to purchase. The property will be at fair market value to be determined by appraisal and agreed upon by all the parties. And the purchase price would be determined by that fair market value that's done in the appraisal, plus any outstanding lease obligations, for the amortized piece.
Okay.
So I think that's important to know. I think also for the people who are watching, Delta Sand and Gravel would be responsible for real estate taxes, water taxes, and the water bill. If and when a commercial kitchen is installed, the water bill will be paid by the senior center budget. They cover hazard insurance. We would cover the content insurance. They also cover building, structural, mechanical, and exterior maintenance, as well as landscaping, mowing, and snow removal. They would also take care of the exterior lighting, the HVAC, the plumbing, the electrical, generator repairs, and maintenance, elevator maintenance. The fire alarm system, the master key and keyed building rooms, and they will resurface the parking area within the first 2 years of the lease. We, as the South County Senior Center operations budget, would be responsible for utilities, including electric, propane for the generator, phone, and internet, the security system, the electric door access system, and our janitorial, cleaning, garbage, dumpsters, daily maintenance like replacing light bulbs and a clogged toilet, any damage replacement if we break windows, doors, etc. We would have the liability and personal content insurance, and incremental snow removal and sanding, meaning if something happens in between the times that the snow removal company comes in between. And just the 2.5% would be the incremental rate on the base rent, like we talked about, like we have here. The initial renovations are estimated. There would be a 10% markup to cover the overhead that they're doing to manage everything, like we talked about. And then the actual renovation costs would be amortized at 5% over the duration of the lease once the construction is concluded. So I think that's important to know. So you're not worrying about that being charged for those renovations until they are actually complete. Um, and on another aside, really fast, I know we had our capital meetings. I was able to work with my contact at Lexington Group, and we actually were able to reduce the cost by around $12,000 for the capital. So it's right now at around $52,430.53, down from the original $64,000. So I just wanted to share that. And that is in the emails I sent you with the attachments. So is that okay?
Sounds great.
Mhm.
5 years. So the 5 years, we can do something different if we want to. We can buy it. We can whatever.
Yes. So I think that's important for the community to know.
Yeah.
But because we don't have an entity who wants to purchase it, we would work in developing that entity, whether
Yeah.
it be Board of Oversight or another spinoff from the towns coming together to work on that.
Yeah.
So if we're going to do this on Saturday, I just Joyce, you and I can chat offline about your thoughts and what we should do. And let me know if I need to reach out to anybody else. But we do have, I don't know if you have anything else you want to say, public comment, people would like to say something here in the audience.
Yeah.
What time is the event and where?
I think it's at 10 a.m. to
10
12
to
at 8
12.
Conway Street, the Deerfield Town Hall.
Okay. Okay. I haven't been up and about, but this may be something I get up and about.
Great.
We have a wheelchair if you need one.
All right.
Okay. Now, can I inject one thing? There was a question at one point about if your municipal entity buys a property. I had heard that you can't pay more than the assessed value. That was not correct, but
No, yeah.
what
Be
Pete says is
appraised.
you can purchase a property over the assessed value, but it's capped at no more than 25% over the average assessed value of the previous 3 years.
Huh.
So there's a cap. It just wasn't where I thought the cap was.
Yeah, I've
Okay.
always seen the appraisals work, so hopefully
The
assessed
appraisals
values are
might
close.
be, maybe the
Yeah,
appraisals are within
yeah,
that cap.
yeah. I've never heard that come up as a problem, but that's,
Oh, it came up with Wormels. Wormels
oh,
wanted
did it?
like 3 times their assessed
Oh,
value, and we
well,
couldn't buy it
sure.
until they decided, oh, here, take it with your pocket change.
All right, thanks.
So I would welcome some public comment, but please try to keep it brief and as constructive as you can. What do you think we should be doing when we go on Saturday to this meeting?
So Carol,
Well,
can you?
I apologize and I hate to say it, but I think we need to have some stuff written out. I would volunteer to help you prepare something that people could be handed out. To
Yes,
people.
we would be handing
And
out
my
something.
comment that I was gonna make at the time was, I don't know if you remember, going into the church with the same individual, I'm assuming, about a year or so ago. And he clearly had no clue whatsoever what the senior center actually did. Is there any reason to believe he has any more idea now what the senior center actually does?
If it's the same individual I think we're talking about, that person did attend a community forum where we did discuss all of the benefits of the senior center. As to whether or not that matters, I'm not sure.
And he
But-
said things take from the street.
Yeah.
I
Any-
think whatever, if you make something to hand out, I don't think you need the Board of Oversight to approve it.
No,
I think you, I mean,
You're the
when you hand
director.
out something, you say who's written it, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
I want to
Who's written
calculate the percent of each town's budget this will be.
Yes, we
On
have
a
that
big
in
sign
our
and say,
presentation.
what percent for the senior center?
Yeah, absolutely. Jen, if you share that,
Gosh, Joyce.
you share that presentation with them, you can take whatever numbers out of there you want to add to it. So I would encourage that if you make something, you can put, I mean, to me, the perspective you give is different from my perspective,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you might have the perspective of other seniors who are trying to decide between voting for this luxury senior center, as John Pachorik calls it. What I'd like to call it is a perfectly adequate senior center at 112 Amherst Road,
Right.
as opposed to bottom of the barrel
Yeah.
sort of thing.
And-
And so I'm trying to find a way to put that nicely. I
And-
think we have to battle that rhetoric because they have John Pachorik shouting in their ear 12
Yeah.
hours a day, right?
Yep.
Right.
So we do
And-
need to counter bad information with good.
Yep.
And one of the good pieces of information, or one of the pieces that needs to be battled with, is that to seniors sometimes they're trying to be humble.
Mhm.
Will say, "Oh, I don't need the good one. I'll give the good one to my child or my grandchild, right? I'll always take like the worst little ripped up piece of crap for myself." I mean, that's sort of built into sometimes the way we think of things, right?
Mhm.
We're very generous to, and here it's against people's nature sometimes to advocate for themselves, to have something that's merely adequate. I don't think
Yeah.
112 Amherst Road is a luxury. I think it is adequate,
Yeah.
right? It is
yes.
not what the experts think we need. It's too small, but I think it's adequate.
Yeah.
One
It's
thing I
not a luxury.
would like to, sorry, now I forgot what I was gonna say.
And what they proposed for Conway Street is inadequate
Correct.
because it does not meet the needs that are documented in the EDM
Right.
studio studies. It doesn't meet anywhere near the number that the adequate site, 112 Amherst Road, would.
Right.
So I'm really happy if you all are willing to make something.
Yeah, I can work on that and
I'd be
get,
happy, yeah, if you want to work with the seniors on that. I have time Friday afternoon, a little bit.
that's tomorrow.
Yep. After class, I think the plumber's coming. There was something. Oh no, that got taken off my. I have a meeting at 3, but in between around noon and 3, I can zoom in.
Are you
Yeah.
coming on Saturday?
I'm coming on Saturday,
I'll be there. I'll bring in my crutches and I'll be there.
and we'll have a wheelchair waiting for you.
I think you're crazy. I might need to sit down. This is the leg up, but I'll be all right.
Well, you
Yeah.
can't walk around
Yeah.
in a couch.
Oh, I remember what I wanted to say now. I've seen a lot of commentary that, Deerfield has a campus plan, but I also think we need to focus on Sunderland already has senior housing here, and
Right.
this is an additional benefit.
Yeah.
And I'm happy, if Deerfield does get a response to their new RFP for the St. James Church as housing. But I also know that this has been more than 25 years of work in Deerfield. It has not come to fruition, where we have the opportunity for our senior housing in Sunderland to be supported as well. The 112 Amherst Road is on a fixed bus route.
Yeah.
We
Yep.
also have the ability to provide transportation with two vans. And we're actually getting a third, and we're going to have a meeting
Oh,
about that because the PVTA, we need to talk more about that.
yeah.
And I know everybody was on a time crunch today.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but we also have the Creamy down the street. We have local stores people can go to, and
Yeah.
banks and other things that are in Sunderland as well. So when people say 112 is not a space that can be accessed, or no one would be coming to town, they're still thinking that this is only a Deerfield Senior Center. It's
Correct.
three town entity.
Region. It's a
So,
region.
yeah.
And
So,
the only,
so Trevor, I would welcome you there as a Deerfield resident to support us on this.
Okay.
And
I'll be there.
I think I
I'll
think it's
come.
important for especially people from an elected position like yours to be to express the point of view of how it is to Deerfield's disadvantage to
Correct.
do this kind of thing.
Right.
There's been some replies. Apparently, Chris has replied and to Pete and Becky's email,
I
um,
think I've
and
seen the
it's a
email.
big nothing burger. Um, so he doesn't really address the idea that hey, this report is meant to torpedo that override, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It
and I
is.
also I so I think I don't want to say public shaming, but we need to put out good information to counter the bad information, and it has to be done in a very public way in the newspaper in order to reach people. So
Mhm.
I really hope Eliana can come.
Yeah.
And my plan was to use that time Friday afternoon as best I can to prep.
Okay.
Okay. Any other public comment? Nope, we're looking like we're good on public comments right now.
Well, with you, that's all. I think it's important that, I think it's a very good idea that the who shows up.
I think it's important that seniors show up,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
especially those from Deerfield who support us. Are there Deerfield seniors who support 112 Amherst Road?
yes, there's quite a few.
Yeah. No,
Then if we can encourage them to show up, because
So
they're
I have to ask this question because,
oh, you're
I,
not talking about a ballot question here.
okay,
Inviting them to a public meeting.
okay. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Want me to advertise the meeting then? Because we didn't, because we weren't supporting it. So I just want to make sure.
Well, I think it would be
What?
good to have citizens of Deerfield there who disagree with the appointed and elected officials. Because I think that's what made a difference the night we gave that presentation. That there were, I don't know, 50 or 60 people in support and two.
Yes. It made a big difference.
Good.
So
I
I think,
just want to make sure that we're doing, that everything's fine. So it's not a ballot question, so there's no issue with me sending out an email about it, and there's no issue with me inviting them to that meeting about it. I just wanted to be clear that I'm not doing anything.
and I would say you don't necessarily have to send it to all the seniors, but we should get some, at least from Deerfield, and maybe send it to everybody. That's
Okay.
fine too.
Yeah, I just want to make sure. And for those who for those who question, I live in South Deerfield, and it's just disappointing to see people saying, well, you don't even live in town and you should do this and you should do that. There's no residency requirement for my position either.
Yeah.
So
Some
But
people,
even though you are, And
Yeah.
there was another misinformation, my turn in the newspaper this morning. I don't know if you saw it.
Yes.
I was heartened by the headline, something about inclusiveness. And I was like, oh, they're going to talk about including the three towns. And no, they're talking about not needing a senior center because people live longer. And it
Oh,
was just such
no.
a weird train of thought.
Who wrote that?
It's a Deerfield resident
Yep,
who,
Melissa, she's here tonight if you'd like to chat with her.
yeah, yeah, it just seemed very, like I was expecting it to be about including everyone in the decision, but it was really about only including the space that was within a walking distance of their house. And so that seemed to me to be not including the neighboring towns. So anyway, I haven't thought of what I would do to, if anything, to counter that. But I know there's lots of people who have really strong feelings about it. But I just think we need an adequate senior center. 8 Conway Street will not be adequate unless they put $5 million into it.
Yeah.
So, all right. All right, better go take my blood pressure medication again.
Yeah, get yourself well.
You want to do your meeting adjourning?
All right, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, all those in favor, Dan.
Aye, Dan Murphy.
Trevor McDaniel's not there. Joyce Palmer Fortune, aye. And by 2 to abstention, we're closed.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.